Welcome to Keto Life Support, where we make your keto life sustainable, fun, and low stress. I'm Kim Howerton, and I'll be coming to you weekly with some of my keto besties to bring you the practical, real-world keto advice that you need. Quick disclaimer, I am not a doctor, and even if we do have a doctor in the house from time to time, he or she is not your doctor, and nothing we say on this show should be taken as medical advice. Always check in with a trusted medical professional about your own personal medical concerns.
Hello and welcome to Keto Life Support. This is Kim Howerton with episode number 177. In this episode, we're doing part 2 to get organized. And stay there. So in last week's episode, we talked quite a bit about why I have thoughts on this topic, why it's important. I'm just going to go over some points again in case you need a reminder or I didn't say it as clearly as I meant to. How you feel in your home has a lot of impact on your sanity. And it's not super easy to be like really super organized and controlled and tight and not in a bad way, like on point with your food if you feel like you're living in chaos. And so I think one thing leads into another thing, and we all want, at the end of the day, we all want kind of a sane home experience, which to me, includes food, where I live, how it looks, how I feel, all that. And so we talked last week a bit about, how do I go into a room? Start with the room that you spend the most time in and start to make it feel more like you, like what isn't here that needs to be here. That's not step one. That's the last step. But what is here that shouldn't be and that isn't serving you and doesn't feel right? And so this week I said I would talk a bit more about like spaces designed for storage, right? Like closets, kitchens, pantries, storage units, all that kind of, not like a rental unit, but like things in your house you use to store things. So one of the points I made last week that is a mistake that a lot of people make when they're starting to get organized, when they're starting to pull their things together, is they immediately go for, let me haul everything out of my closet, or let me haul everything out of this bureau first. And in fact, you want to start with what you see, right? You want to start with the stuff that's out before you go into the storage spaces. And if you're like, look, but my dresser drawer is, by the way, it's not Chester drawers, in case anyone ever thought, there's no such thing as Chester drawers. It's chest of drawers. Just clarifying that. I have a long history with that. So you got a chest of drawers and you're like, but they're totally full and there are things out in the room that are supposed to go in those drawers. Just put them in a little box or a little bag. It says, for dresser. And then just wait until we get to the dresser. Because if you start all your organizing projects by hauling everything out and dumping it in the middle of the floor, it's bad. It's bad. But from there, you can, once you get your room, at least most of the way you want it, then we can move to the storage areas. And I would set aside some time for it. So I'm going to start with this chest of drawers. And you might only be like, okay, I'm going to do it one drawer at a time. We're going to do the whole thing. But I wouldn't just dump everything out. That's not, in my opinion, the best way. Now, the one exception to some of this is I know some of you watch shows where they dump everything out. And that's totally fine if you have like a whole day or a whole weekend or a whole week where you're like, I am devoted to this project. It's my full-time job. It's a little different. Most people aren't going to do that. And most people actually, even if they think they're going to do that, get bored and tired or frustrated really fast. And now you've got crap all over your room. So, know yourself. So let's just say we're going to do this as a gradual project. So look at open one drawer. Okay, what is the function of this drawer supposed to be? Is this a stuff drawer like odds and ends? Is it a underwear drawer? Is it a sock drawer? Is it where I keep my workout clothes? What is it? And is this drawer the best place to do that? Right? Am I storing these things in the best way given my space? And once you make that decision, then that drawer is now claimed, right? Okay, this is going to be my sock drawer. Is there anything that I could make this sock drawer work better? In terms of like, is it just a big jumble of socks? Is it the drawer too deep? Do I need to do something there? So you can be thinking about that. But really what you got to do is you probably have a lot of socks you don't wear that often and you don't need. So that's when I might take everything out of one drawer, right? And put them into groups. These are the socks I definitely wear. These are the socks I think I would wear because they're the only socks that really work with this pair of shoes or this outfit. But interestingly, I don't seem to wear those socks or I don't seem to use them. So that's the maybe. And then there's going to be a bunch where you're like, I never wear these. These are useless. I thought they were useful. I feel maybe you might have feelings about getting rid of them. Like they're perfectly good socks. I don't know why I don't wear them. I should keep them. You don't wear them. Don't keep them. That's a waste. So that is what I would do. I'd kind of separate that into my categories. Donate all the ones you're like, just don't wear these. I do not have a use for these. Then looking at the ones that you keep, put them away, and then evaluate the ones you're not sure about, right? If you're like, well, I haven't gone skiing this year, that's why I didn't wear my ski socks. Well, if you still have your ski boots and all that kind of stuff, probably going to want to keep those. But you're gonna take a critical lens to the ones you're not so sure about, and if they seem worth keeping for some period of time, put them back in your drawer. And then I revisit the concept, like, would this drawer work better if it had some dividers in it or something like that? If you think it would, I would make note of that on a pad. I would not immediately rush out to the store. I would say, all right, here I'm going to be starting to form my organizational scheme. What do I need at the end of my organizational experience? Okay, what have I learned? Right. Oh, I learned I probably want some dividers in this sock drawer. Oh, I learned that I need new hangers, right? All those things. You're going to look at them as a whole instead of just reasons to leave your house and run an errand to Target. I know you. I am you. So that's what I would do, drawer by drawer by drawer. Now, you might find as you're going through your drawers, you're like, this drawer is always a mess. And I think the problem is that a drawer isn't the best option for this. Like, I'll give you an example. In my closet, I have some shelves in my closet along with some hanging space. And on the shelves, I have some clear bins from Target that I roll my workout clothes and put them in there because I found a drawer wasn't really working for me. I also have that approach with my PJs or yoga hang around the house clothes. So they're in a little basket on a shelf separated by individual one because I was finding the drawers weren't the best option, but I keep my socks and underwear and all that kind of stuff in drawers. So think about what works for you and what could work for your house and your budget. So those little bins cost me about $3. Very inexpensive solution, and I've been really happy with them. And so then, you've done your drawers, make your way into the closet and start looking at all the clothes. And myself, I actually like to set aside some time to try on all the clothes that I'm wondering about. So I don't have that much hanging clothes. I don't have that big a closet. So I'll go through just visually, and there's going to be some clear things. Of course, I wear this. Yes, I need this. Or like, this is a special occasion dress. I absolutely want to keep it. All the winners, they're just going to stay hanging in your closet. You don't have to try them on. They're winners. All the things that you look at and are like, I never wear this. Take them out of the closet. Put them in one pile. And all the things you're like, I don't know about this. Do I wear this? Do I not wear this enough? Take that and put those in another pile. Now, the things you're sure are like ripped and not serving you and you just never going to wear them, just get rid of those. Donate them if they're in appropriate condition. The ones where you're like, I'm just not sure. I think I really still like it, but I seem to never wear it. There are two options. The first option is if you have some time put aside, try it all on, look in the mirror, give yourself a critical eye. Why don't I wear this? Is it that I don't have a top that goes with it or a pair of pants that goes with it? Is it that I don't really love it or it pinches when I sit down? Like, why am I not wearing this? That's one option. And if you can be really honest with yourself, then that can be very useful. And everything that you're like, no, this isn't for me anymore, let it go and donate it. Put everything that passed muster back in the closet. The other option you could do is put a little sticker or make a change in the orientation of your hanger to make it clear this is one of your questionable items. And then some people, like, you can hang a rubber band around the Everybody's got a collection of those, right? Or a twist tie or something around the neck of the hanger of all your stuff that you're like, I am evaluating this piece of clothing. And then mark it on your calendar, a date 6 months from now. Obviously, seasonality is going to come into play a bit there, but, or, you could say a year, but that's giving yourself a lot of time. If you live in a pretty temperate climate where it doesn't change that much in temperature, or it's a layered piece or whatever, or if you're pretty sure you haven't worn it in 6 months, you can advance the timeline. The next time you wear that item of clothing, take the rubber band or the twist tie or whatever off the hanger. And so now you're like, okay, I wore it. It's a yes. But if at the end of that time period that you've set, you still haven't taken the little twist tie off the hanger, well, then hey, I haven't worn this in a really long time. It hasn't been calling my name. I'm going to let it go. And so that's how you can address your drawers. That's how you can address your closet, your hanging clothes, the pantry, the kitchen, all of that. Also very important process. If you feel like your kitchen's overcrowded, do I actually use this juicer? Do I use these pots? What are the baseline pots and pans and measuring devices that work for you? Am I a baker? Am I not a baker? So you go through this process in each room with the concept of honoring who you are. How do I want to live? I want to do some baking. I want to use the creamy, right? Like, not the imaginary me wants to use these things, but the person that I am will use these things, likes to use these things, and wants to keep using these things. Not, well, I might at some point in the future make a tart. I haven't in the last 27 years, but it might happen. That is maybe a sign to get rid of the tart pan, right? So really being honest with yourself. And so this is a process. And I would say just start to incorporate it in your life. Now, if you get excited by the idea of like a weekend project, sure, set aside some time to do that. But for the most part, I would say just start to make this part of your routine. And if you are a shopper, if you love to shop, give yourself some parameters. Okay, I can only shop for things like I can only buy new towels if I get rid of my old ones, right? Only bringing things in when something's coming out, unless there's a hole in your needs, right? There's a space that needs filling. You have to replace, not just add on, or else you're going to be overrun pretty soon. But I recommend just making this a natural part of your habit, a natural part of your life, something that you keep on your schedule. Like every Saturday, I'm going to spend 15 minutes. I'm going to pick a room. I'm going to look around and I'm going to say, am I happy with this room? Am I happy with the way I'm storing things? Am I happy with the way that the level of clutter I've set up? And if not, then make a plan for that week to start to subtly reduce and change those things. Because this is not a do it once and forget it kind of thing. Committing yourself to a happier home with a more organized approach doesn't have to feel violent. It doesn't have to feel like gut-wrenching to let things go. It can feel freeing. And if something is going to break your heart to let go, maybe you should keep it. There's no rules about those things. The only rule maker is you and the people you live with, negotiating a life and a space that works for you. So I hope this general kind of overview of reminding you how important your home space is to your mental sanity is, and that gave you some time to think about crafting and creating your home that's yours for you, that fits your needs, not somebody else's. All right, guys, I will talk to you next week. You take care.
Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Keto Life Support. Want more information? Want show notes? Want to suggest a topic? Just head over to ketolifesupport.com. That's where all that kind of thing can go on. By the way, I have a request. If you could go to your podcast host and hit subscribe, we would really, really appreciate it. And what would be even more awesome is if you could write a review. And what would be even more awesome than that is if you could write like a really flattering review. Just asking. You do you. All right. So thanks so much for joining us. I'm thrilled that you're part of the Keto fam. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.